Okay, so Dr. Emad's bio, with an emphasis on the board area of accounting and corporate governance disciplines for almost 3 decades. Emad currently works at the Qatar University as an associate professor of accounting. Moving from the UK, notably, Emad is currently the president of the Scientific Accounting Association at Qatar University. He also leads the accreditation of programs at the college level. From a social perspective, Emad is the advisor of the Female Accounting Club at the college level. Moving to the community and the professional side, Emad is a member of the IIA, IMA, and the IRM Doha chapters. He delivers executive and workshops in areas of performance measurement, strategic management, accounting, auditing, and corporate governance, as well as professional training courses for CMA and CIA. Finally, Emad is a certified fellow of the UK Higher Education Academy and has several referred published papers. And more than that, he's my big brother. Emad, I will now make you the host of this call. So you will be able to share your own screen and take us through your slides and take it from there. Just a note, Dr. Emad, please be aware of another Chief Audit Executive members who are still joining the call whenever they have. Now you're the only person who can admit them to this Zoom meeting.
Well, if you noticed anyone joining, just alert me, let me know.
Now I'm not the host.
Yeah, I know, and I just speak up. And
of course, sure. So mic to you, and I'll stop sharing so you can share your own screen.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum salam.
I do welcome you all to this webinar, which is actually led by Hatem, I have to say so. Hatem, as you all know him, if you don't know him already, is very energetic, is having lots of power, by the way, and he's always excited. So if you don't know Hatem, Hatem is always excited. So when I woke up this morning, Hatem just texted me WhatsApp, letting me know that I'm very excited for this. So I just replied back telling that Hatem, I'm just taking my morning coffee. So give me some time and I'll get back to you with this excitement. So now I had my coffee, which was very good. And I won't let Hatem that I am even more excited than he is, but for a different reason actually. It's not for this session, for a different reason. And the reason is, finally, the Premier League is back. So the English football is back again, and it's starting tonight. Whomever is playing Fantasy Premier League will know how busy we are today, by the way, because we have a deadline to meet to set our, to select our team to play over Fantasy Premier League. So I may be nervous not because of the session, but nervous because I have to rush, because I have a deadline to meet. So I will wrap it up as quickly as possible. I will not be boring, but I may be stressed because of the Fantasy Premier League football. Okay. Having said so, let us go back to our professional session then. As highlighted quickly on the screen in front of you, the main contents of my 20 minutes speech will be touching on the following quick bullet points. I will be setting a synopsis at the beginning, followed by the aim of this session. And the aim, by the way, will be our argument when I'm done. I will be setting the context of our session, the context of our speech, the context of our discussion as well, which is obviously, without us pointing it out, to be the impact of COVID-19, both on the organization, as well as the IAF, the Internal Audit Function as well, and how we can align both together in a way to enable the IAF to better add value to the organization. I will also support my discussion with you with some scattered empirical results from different sources. And then I will end up by a conclusion, which will open the floor for some questions, which Hatem will thankfully will be leading using the application Kahoot. So I would advise you before we start, so we can save time afterwards, you may go ahead to your store, Android store or the iPhone store, and you search for the application Kahoot. That's Kahoot. You should find two versions of it, one for the teacher, one for the student. I believe you're advised to download the one for the student. It should be having a blue icon, I believe so. Download it, and we're going to be using it later on. Okay? You don't need to set it right away because setting is very easy. It will take you a few seconds, so we can postpone the setting afterwards.
Also,
but, you're advised to go ahead and search for it. Go ahead, Hattie.
Also, maybe you don't need to download the app. By logging into Kahoot.it, I will be able to give you the session number, and you'll be able to join it from the browser as well.
That is correct. But when they download the application, the interaction is much faster.
Of course.
It may be delayed if they use the internet. This is why I'm advising downloading it as an application. Okay. Having said so, the starting of the session, I have to firstly give credit as well as acknowledge that all the work presented here in my presentation has been inspired by the following references. So if anyone would like to contact me afterwards, I may be forwarding you to those useful sources, which I have already referred to, wrapping up or concluding my session with you today. Okay. Setting the synopsis.
Last thing, please, guys, at this part, if you are not speaking, if you can kindly mute. We're leaving it up to your discretion.
Do we have any new attendees or still the same?
You need to check. You need to check. I cannot see that. You need to look at the participation list and see if someone is...
I just unmuted myself for a quick request, please. Can you please just share in the chat box the name of the application so we can download now?
Sure, I will do right now.
Thank you.
Hatem can send it as a chat when you
Yes.
Thank you. I am muted now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So going back to the start of the session, which is the synopsis, in general, and disregarding the impact of COVID, in general, the business environment is always characterized or featured by being very vibrant, very changing, very dynamic. And of course, that would imply that whenever the management is setting up its own vision for the future, backed up by the selected strategy, such a strategy definitely should always be dynamic to reflect all the factors, the changes which are taking place in the business environment in general. Okay? But our main concern today is actually going more deep into that by highlighting the impact of COVID-19 and how would the internal audit function be able to drift away from the normal routine way of doing things and to go ahead and be dynamic enough to reflect those new changes, because management will be having different set priorities, of course. So we need to be discussing in detail today how can we be able as internal auditors, chief internal auditors, to be able to align our audit plan with the new set strategy selected by management in that sense. In general, that is the synopsis. Having said so, and because of this, I am summarizing with you the main aim, which will also stand as the main argument today. How does such a change, which is happening currently in the business environment impacted by the COVID-19, would affect the IAF? That is one thing. The second thing as well, to what extent does the organizational strategy impact the IAF in terms of the role played, the scope, as well as the different set of activities done by the IAF as well to respond to those new changes happening in the business environment. Okay, that is the main aim. The context, of course, the research context as well as the empirical context, and the discussion as well will be the COVID-19 and its dramatic impact on the business environment. That is the main context, of course. Okay. That slide is very good, actually. It is summarizing the impact of COVID on the different sectors. Such a slide was done by a research group, and that was like a couple of months ago. And they were doing a research knowing, investigating who will be the potential losers because of COVID, and who may be, which companies, which sectors could be the potential winners from the impact or the COVID-19 dilemma itself. So as you can see, that does make sense. It is sensible, it is wise, that tourism and leisure on the bottom left-hand side will be the main loser, of course, whereas medical sector will be the winner in that case. And the red line, of course, the red colors indicate this is warning, this is very bad, and the green ones, the dark green ones, this is quite a good potential to invest in that sense. Some other sectors are colored different colors, which may indicate that still it is not obvious what will be happening. It may create a risk, it may create an opportunity, so it depends on how the companies will be rephrasing their or developing their selected new strategy to accommodate to those new changes and such a thing, of course. And my argument with you is, whenever management is setting their new selected strategy, this is done not in total isolation. We are involved as well. The internal audit function is involved as well, because we do argue, and this will be an open discussion also with Marwan as well, whenever the company is setting a strategic vision, a new strategy, monitoring assurance is quite very important as well. And Marwan thankfully prepared a very useful case study which will focus on the monitoring phase of the strategy. And that will be discussed later on. Okay? So this is a quick introduction to the impact. That graph as well also is very good. It's very summarizing the dilemma in a very easy way. All managers, all management, all board of directors have been worried enough to think about three main things, three main questions, always creating headache for management, different managements in different sectors. Number one, how deep the problem is, how much the company will be losing money, how the time length, the length scheme, the time frame of such dilemma as well, how long the company will be able to tolerate such a loss as well, and how can we recover? So the shape of recovery as well is very good. And here is when the strategy steps in as well, because this is forming for you a way, a technique, a mechanism, a system which you can rely on to make you stand up, step up, and be resilient enough to survive in such a very dramatic business environment as well. Also, it has been discussed in a very good article, which was prepared by a CFO, a Chief Financial Officer, and it's among the resources, by the way, that he suggested that management should respond in 5 ways, in 5 time frames, and he called them the 5 horizons. And as you can see on the screen, all of them are starting with the letter R. So sometimes we're calling them the big 5 R's in that sense. Resolving, resilience, return, reimagine, reform, and it is sequenced in a sequence. So I will be touching on quickly each one, and my questions afterwards, how can we help as internal auditors in that sense, in each one of those stages. But I will be taking it firstly from the perspective of the Chief Financial Officer, and then later on we may take it from the Chief Audit Executive as well. How can we be of help in those different areas? Taking the first horizon, which is resolve. Resolve is all about immediate action. So companies had such a challenge like a few months ago. We are facing a big problem now. We need to take very important quick steps to go ahead and overcome the challenges, the immediate challenges. That would have many perspectives, including the workforce, customers, partners, employees, all of those are affected. So management had to think quickly of immediate resolution to those immediate challenges. That was phase number 1. And it was the status quo back then. That was like a few months ago. Currently, most of the companies are moving through the second horizon, which is resilient. They had to be resilient enough to survive in the market. And resilience would actually be more focused on having enough money. It's all about cash management, of course. And sadly enough, it will only be short-term. Management do not have the enough insight to look into the more future. So they will be giving more attention to liquidity, rather than being solvent. Solvent is not an issue now, and actually it is out of the consideration because we are not having much information to look that much beyond the horizon. So the main concern, the main attention we devoted to being liquid in the very near future to enable the company to be financially resilient to meet its short-term liabilities, obligations, and so on. The third stage, it is argued that once the company has survived, they need to go ahead and revamp the way the company was being productive. So it's all about improving productivity level in the company, and that would require lots of thinking outside the box. You have to come with very good ideas in order to go ahead and take advantage of the opportunities available in the market to improve your productivity. Lots of initiatives have been suggested here. Definitely number one would be technology. Technology now is becoming very important, and it is the key performance for any companies working in such very severe conditions we are having nowadays because of social distance and so on. So technology will help you a lot in a way to improve your productivity for the short term and the medium term as well. So I would say that technology will stay with us. It is not a privilege anymore. It is a necessity nowadays. Once we return, we need to go ahead and think beyond that. And this comes the strategic long-term perspective as well, which is titled by the article, which I did touch on, by Reimagine. So you had to go ahead and think beyond and think what would be the next normal. When would it be? How would it be looking like in that sense? So you have to have this skill, this capability, the set of skills, abilities as well, to anticipate, predict what might happen next. It will be a very big challenge. Yes, it is a challenge, but we have learned. We do have lots of information which we can rely on and predict what might happen to the business in the coming future as well. Yet again, technology will be the upper hand in our prediction of the future as well. Followed by Reimagine, given the starting slide, which I did start with, that the market is always dynamic, it is vibrant. So you have to always reform. You have to be adapting to any change which may happen. You have to adjust your strategy, plan, and so on. So do not ever focus on a static way of planning. It must always be dynamic because it is a cyclic approach in that. So this is what the CFO did argue in his article. And we can take this one and we can manipulate it or use it, tweak it, change it to accommodate our function as an internal audit function in that sense. Because yes, we do have a key role, a pivotal role to be played in all of those 5 different horizons, because we are the ones to add value at the end. So without adding value, without adding assurance, monitoring as well, all of those will not be useful enough, practical or plausible in other words. Okay. One more thing which I would like to cover at the end of my discussion as well, this key issue actually, which is the key issue in our presentation. How can we align the alignment of the IAF to the company's strategy? Management will be developing strategy, they will be implementing strategy, but it needs to be monitored. And here comes the big role, added value provided by the IAF. Monitoring is very important. Efficiency, effectiveness, economic, all of that would be considered in that sense. We're moving back into operational auditing, but in a more strategic perspective in that sense. That is quite very important as well. And again, that will be left for the floor to put their own input and insight, of course, in that sense. We do have another one joining the room as well. So we had 3 more ones, by the way. What is else? Empirical results, which is, to me, as an academic, this is very important because this is when we can put our own input. Because we can argue, yes, it happened because it's based on results, empirical results. So I will be going through some scattered results, but I see them, it is quite important, relevant to our discussion today. Some of the empirical results, which I referred back to the resources at the beginning of my discussion today, one of those said that based on a sample of interviewees, all of them are working in the internal audit sector. They said that to some extent, we feel that we are disconnected from the business. So sometimes there's no connection between them. It may happen. We are not that dynamic. and we are being forced the plan rather than a two-way communication. And that one is limiting our capacity to add value to the organization. So they argue that the internal audit function is to some extent reacting rather than being active. This is one argument in their discussion, and this is how they meant we are disconnected in the sense of we are only receiving without giving back or being engaged from the beginning in that sense. That was one of the empirical results, which is quite interesting to know. One more thing as well as this one. They have also argued that sometimes it may take us too much time between the timing of assessing the risks as well as the start of the audit itself. Sometimes it's quite lengthy, such a process. It's too much time. And whenever it takes too much time, it will be out of scope because it will be out of date. Because risk is very dynamic nowadays. If you couldn't adapt very quick, you will not be able to have the ability to add value at them because the value will not be valid anymore because it's out of time, out of scope as well. Yet, this is counterparted by another very good empirical study. Given the fact that there's too much time, they said that we are spending too much time because we have to be prepared for any surprise audits. So we are giving some days in addition to the planned days in our plan because we are putting some days as reserve to overcome any surprise which may happen in that case. So they are arguing, yes, we are spending some considerable timing but we are doing that because we have to expect what might happen worse in the market, in the business environment, and be prepared for it when it comes. A very good empirical result as well, a set of internal audit practitioners were interviewed, asking them how dynamic their internal audit plan was. As you can see displayed on the screen, 64% agreed that we are dynamic. We strongly agree that we are dynamic and we should be always dynamic. And 32% agreed on that. So you can see almost all of them agreed that being dynamic is a very important, essential aspect of putting a plan, even for the internal audit function as well. Another interesting result, which is actually not surprising, expected in advance, which is the risk-based approach, of course. The internal audit function practitioners agreed that when we put a plan, it is always aligned or tied with the risk management approach of the company and so on. So it does make sense. As you can see from the bottom of the slide, 96% agreed that yes, that is the case. We are always tying our plan with the risk-based approach of the company, which does make sense. Final one is they are also arguing, and I do share the same point of view as well. When the plan is dynamic, when the audit plan is dynamic, and we are able to align it with the strategy of the company, this is making us more trusted by the stakeholders of the company because we are adding more value, we are adding relevant value, which is adding credibility to our function as well, which is a key aspect of auditing in general, not specifically internal, but both internal as well as external. We need to be credible because when we are credible, this will enable us to be trusted by the stakeholders as well as it will create a bond with the different stakeholders within the organization. So this is quite a sought after characteristic, of course, which does not come for free. It does come for lots of things to be added by the company, the top of which, of course, is adding value. The company we are working in. Having said so, I'm not to be talking too much because I don't want to waste the time in talking and I would like to open a discussion quickly. Conclusion are two messages, two things. Number one, we have to always be dynamic because if we are not dynamic, we are losing the fact that management is dynamic. Management is faced with lots of challenges, be it an opportunity, be it a risk. So we have to always be capable enough to alter our plan to reflect this dynamic feature of the business. One more thing as well, which is built upon this number one, the second one is built upon it. If we are dynamic enough, this will make us more trusted by the stakeholders, and this will improve our credibility, enabling us to add value at the end. So the key message at the bottom of the screen is we need to be able to add those two together, adding value to the management in a sense. I hope I did not talk much. I was stressed, but I did my best to go ahead and be relaxed. I need to finish quickly because I do have a deadline to meet, but I'm with you. I'm not leaving. So Hatem, do not do too much.
Thanks, Dr. Emad,
Leaving
so
the floor
much.
to Hatem to continue the
Can
session.
you-
Thank you
can
very
you-
much, all of you. By the way, we had 4 more join.